It just changed speed. The words hang in the command center of Monarch's deep space monitoring station like a crack in glass. Dr. Elise Marlowe doesn't blink. On the main screen, a single object burns across the star map. Not drifting, not tumbling, not following gravitational pull. It moves with intent. One moment it's coasting beyond Neptune's orbit. The next it accelerates, correcting its trajectory by fractions so precise they feel surgical. It's not a meteor, someone whispers. No, Elise replies quietly. It's steering. The object pulses. A spike flashes across the radiation spectrum monitors. Gamma surge. Now X-ray. It's shifting bands. The technicians exchange uneasy glances as the readouts flicker wildly. Every frequency the station throws at it, the object mirrors back. Not as reflection, but imitation. Infrared, ultraviolet, cosmic background radiation. It samples, then reproduces. Elise leans closer to her console, jaw tightening. It's mapping us. The object vanishes from long-range scan for less than a second and reappears millions of miles closer. A controlled jump. No propulsion flare, no gravitational sling. Just displacement. Impact window? Elise demands. 8 minutes. Silence grips the room. Half a world away, satellites begin to fail. In low Earth orbit, a communications array flickers as a wave passes through it. Invisible, inaudible, but absolute. Solar panels dim. Navigation systems scramble. For exactly 3 seconds, every civilian satellite over the Pacific Hemisphere goes blind. Cities don't notice. Militaries do. Back at Monarch Station, alarms stack on top of one another. It just emitted a pulse, a technician says, voice cracking. Low frequency. Subaquatic penetration range. Elise's stomach drops. On the largest screen, a secondary display activates oceanic seismic monitors across the Pacific Ring. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the abyss answers. Deep beneath the Mariana Trench, tectonic lines ripple outward in a slow, deliberate tremor. Not an earthquake, not volcanic shift. A heartbeat. Another pulse rolls through the water. Stronger this time. Cascading down through miles of crushing darkness, the ocean floor fractures in a jagged line as something massive shifts position. Elise stares at the Titan designation glowing red on her side monitor. Godzilla. He felt it, she breathes. The interstellar object breaches the upper atmosphere without fire, without friction burn. It doesn't blaze like a meteor, it slices through air as if density itself bends aside. For a fraction of a second, high above the Pacific, it becomes visible. A streak of silver edged in crimson. Then it disappears into cloud cover. Radar scrambles, military tracking systems overload. The object's signature morphs again, adjusting to avoid lock. It's dampening its thermal output, a systems analyst says, learning from our scans in real time. Elise grips the edge of her console. Project predicted extraterrestrial life might observe us. It never predicted this. What is it? Someone asks. She doesn't answer immediately. On the ocean floor, Godzilla's eye opens. Ancient, unblinking, a slit of molten blue ignites in the dark. The Titan's gills flare as radiation flows through his dorsal plates, faint at first, then brighter. Not rage, not aggression. Recognition. The water above him vibrates subtly as he rises from sediment that has buried him for decades. Submarine microphones across the Pacific pick up the sound. A low, resonant vibration that rattles steel hulls. On Monarch's display, Godzilla's vitals spike. He's mobilizing, Elise says. The silver object impacts the ocean's surface. Not with explosion, but with precision. It pierces the water like a blade, displacing a perfect ring outward before vanishing beneath. No debris, no shockwave, just entry. Deep underwater, something mechanical hums to life. Red optics flicker open in the abyss. The machine's head rotates slowly, scanning its surroundings. Panels along its metallic frame shift and realign, analyzing salinity, pressure, radiation density. Data streams cascade invisibly through its systems. A surge of bioluminescent blue flares in the distance. Godzilla approaches. The machine's eyes narrow slightly. An artificial focus. It emits a low-frequency signal, subtle and probing. Godzilla answers with a rumble that shakes the trench walls. Back at Monarch, every monitor spikes simultaneously. They're communicating, a technician whispers. No, Elise corrects, staring at the impossible feed. It's testing him. On the seabed, the machine adjusts its posture, limbs flexing with servo precision. Its body hums as it recalibrates, absorbing stray radiation bleeding off the approaching Titan. Across its chest, energy readings climb. Synchronizing. Godzilla's dorsal plates begin to glow brighter now, ocean water boiling around him in thin streams. The machine tilts its head. It has found what it came for. High above, the last of the satellites flicker back online, restoring global feeds, just in time to capture a surge of light erupting from deep beneath the Pacific surface. 2 signatures, one ancient, one engineered. Elise exhales slowly, dread settling into her bones. Whatever just arrived, she says, eyes locked on the converging signals, it didn't come here by accident. On the ocean floor, red optics intensify. Across from them, Godzilla roars, a thunderous challenge that ripples through miles of water. The machine does not roar back. It studies. And somewhere within its evolving core, something clicks into place. Learning complete. The ocean doesn't explode when it hits. It parts. A perfect circular displacement ripples outward across the South Pacific as the metallic form pierces through the surface and vanishes beneath. No fire, no debris, just a controlled descent. Deliberate, calculated. 3 seconds later, the sea detonates upward. The machine rockets back out of the water, hovering 20 meters above the surface. Sheets of ocean cascade off polished cobalt armor without leaving a single scorch mark or fracture. Its crimson optics glow steadily, unblinking. It is undamaged. High above, surveillance drones struggle to maintain lock. As the entity stabilizes midair, its body rotates slowly, scanning the horizon in a full 360-degree sweep. Invisible sensors stretch across the electromagnetic spectrum, tasting radiation, mapping gravitational distortions, dissecting atmospheric composition in microseconds. Then it stops. Its head tilts. Precisely 7 degrees. Far below, deep beneath the churning Pacific, are pulse answers. The machine's chest core flickers faintly as it detects the massive bioenergetic surge rising from the abyss. Data floods its internal processors, atomic radiation signatures, Titan-grade output, alpha-level dominance frequency. The designation forms within its systems instantly. Primary target identified. Its optics intensify. Across thousands of meters of crushing darkness, Godzilla moves with purpose. The ancient Titan's dorsal plates begin to glow faintly, responding not to provocation, but to presence. A rival frequency hums through his domain, artificial and wrong. On the surface, the machine lowers closer to the water. Its feet hover inches above the waves as it extends one arm downward. Panels along its forearm split open, revealing shifting conduits that begin sampling residual radiation bleeding upward from the depths. The energy makes contact. For a split second, the machine's frame vibrates violently. Its armor glows along the seams as atomic particles surge through pathways never designed by nature. Warning signals flare internally. Structural stress at 38%. Thermal overload threshold approaching. Then the vibrations cease. The machine adjusts. Microplating along its torso realigns, thickening and condensing at a molecular level. Heat sinks deploy beneath the surface of its armor. Internal conduits widen, rerouting excess radiation into its core processor. Stress levels drop. Thermal readings stabilize. Adaptation complete. The crimson optics narrow slightly, not in emotion, but in refinement. Beneath the surface, Godzilla's eyes snap open fully, a molten blue cutting through the darkness. He feels it now, something drawing from him without contact, testing limits. His massive tail sweeps once, displacing entire currents. The ocean around him begins to boil in streaks as his dorsal plates intensify in brightness. On the surface, waves rise higher. The machine lifts both arms outward as if welcoming the surge. It amplifies its intake, increasing exposure deliberately. Radiation levels spike to catastrophic ranges, enough to vaporize conventional military hardware instantly. Its armor begins to glow faintly blue along the edges. Internal processors surge. Comparative analysis complete. Radiation tolerance recalibrated to Titan alpha threshold. The machine lowers its arms. It has measured the king's fire and matched it. A thunderous shockwave erupts from below as Godzilla launches upward. Water spirals into a vortex above him, displaced by his ascent. The machine does not retreat. Instead, it shifts stance mid-air, limbs reconfiguring subtly. Joints tighten. Center of gravity lowers. Its entire frame hums with stored atomic energy, now harmonized to Godzilla's frequency. Godzilla breaches the surface in a titanic eruption of ocean and fury. His roar splits the sky. Ancient, territorial, absolute. The machine hovers before him at eye level. For a suspended second, predator and construct stare at one another. Godzilla's gaze burns with instinct and dominance. The machine's crimson optics remain cold, reflective, analyzing muscle tension, gill expansion, energy buildup in dorsal plates. Godzilla unleashes a warning pulse, a concussive burst of radiation that slams across the water's surface. The machine absorbs it. Its armor flares brighter, channels redirecting the energy cleanly through its core. Not a single panel cracks. Godzilla's roar cuts off mid-echo. The machine lowers slightly, recalculating distance, adjusting to the Titan's mass and power output in real time. It emits a low-frequency tone. Not loud, but penetrating. The sound ripples across the ocean in concentric rings, tuned precisely to alpha communication bands. Godzilla's eyes narrow. This is not a challenge born of instinct. It is replication. The machine's chest core glows deeper crimson, energy cycling in controlled pulses, now synchronized with the Titan's rhythm. It is no longer an intruder in this environment. It is compatible. Above them, storm clouds begin to churn from the sheer energy being exchanged, but neither combatant looks away. Godzilla draws in breath, dorsal plates blazing to full luminescence. The machine mirrors the stance. Arms slightly back, core intensifying, radiation output climbing to equal magnitude. Two sources of alpha-level power hover across from each other, perfectly balanced. The machine's processors finalize their assessment. Combat probability, 99.7%. Objective clarified. It did not cross galaxies to conquer humanity. It came to test the apex of this world. Its optics flare brighter as it locked fully onto Godzilla's gaze. It didn't come to explore. It came to measure a king. Every seismic monitor on Earth spikes at the exact same time. In Tokyo, warning systems light up red. In Washington, military analysts freeze mid-briefing. In a monarch outpost beneath the Swiss Alps, a wall of screens flickers as one signature overtakes every other data stream on the planet. Dr. Elise Marlowe doesn't need the confirmation. "He's moving," she says quietly. Across the Pacific, aircraft carriers pivot instinctively away from the epicenter. Submarines cut engines, drifting silent in dark water as the pressure wave rolls beneath them like a passing storm front. This isn't random Titan agitation. This is response. Deep below, Godzilla ascends with measured power, not frenzy, not blind rage. His massive form displaces entire thermal layers of the ocean as he rises. Dorsal plates glowing brighter with every meter gained, the artificial dominance frequency, the one that doesn't belong, continues to pulse across his territory. He answers it with presence. The surface ruptures. Godzilla breaches in a vertical surge of muscle and ancient authority. Water cascading off armored scales as he plants himself in the open ocean. His roar splits the sky, not chaotic but declarative. Alpha. Across global monitoring stations, monarch analysts exchange grim looks. They've seen this pattern before, documented in Godzilla, King of the Monsters. When balance tilts, when something threatens the natural order of Titans, Godzilla does not wait. He rises. But this time, something is different. Hovering several hundred meters away, the metallic figure remains perfectly still. Its crimson optics burn steadily, fixed on the Titan. It does not recoil from the roar. It does not retreat from the shockwave that rattles nearby vessels. It observes. Close-up feeds from long-range drones capture the machine's posture. Head tilted slightly, body aligned in precise symmetry. Micro-adjustments ripple across its armor as it processes the Titan's vocal frequencies, energy output, muscular tension. Godzilla lowers his head slightly, eyes narrowing. He senses no fear, only calculation. The machine emits another low-frequency pulse, stronger now, tuned almost perfectly to alpha command bands. The ocean around them vibrates faintly as distant marine life scatters in confusion. On Skull Island, containment teams report tremors. In Antarctica, dormant Titans shift uneasily within ice. Across the globe, creatures that once answered only to natural hierarchy hesitate. The artificial signal is close. Godzilla's dorsal plates blaze brighter in response. Energy building along his spine, his tail lashes once, sending a towering wall of water outward. It's a warning. The machine does not interpret it as such. Its chest core flares, matching the radiation surge level for level. Internal systems adapt continuously, recalibrating tolerances as Godzilla's atomic signature intensifies. The gap between organic evolution and engineered design narrows by the second. In the command center of Monarch, silence hangs heavy. "It's not provoking him," a technician whispers. Elise studies the thermal overlays. "No, it's benchmarking." On the ocean, Godzilla steps forward, a slow, deliberate advance that parts the sea around his legs. Each movement radiates dominance, centuries of uncontested rule etched into every scar across his hide. The machine lowers to match his eye level. For a moment, the scale difference is undeniable. Godzilla towers, a living mountain of bone and power. The metallic figure appears smaller, almost fragile by comparison. But its energy signature says otherwise. Godzilla inhales slightly. The glow in his dorsal plates climbs toward critical mass, building toward the unmistakable charge of atomic breath. The air around his jaws distorts with heat. The machine's optics narrow further. Its forearms shift, internal conduits igniting with borrowed radiation. It angles its body slightly. Not defensive, but optimized. It wants the data. Godzilla unleashes. A beam of concentrated atomic energy tears across the ocean, vaporizing seawater in its path and striking the machine head-on. The blast engulfs it in blinding blue-white fury, waves detonating outward from the impact zone. For 3 endless seconds, the beam holds. In Monarch's control room, someone exhales in relief. It's over. Then the radiation clears. The machine remains suspended exactly to where it was. Armor, glowing incandescent blue, seams lit from within but intact. Its core hum deepens, stabilizing, redistributing the immense energy surge. Readouts spike across every monitoring system as it absorbs, analyzes, and refines the atomic pattern. Godzilla's roar falters into something quieter. Not fear, but recalibration. The machine slowly raises one arm. Along its palm, energy gathers. Not identical to Godzilla's atomic breath, but disturbingly close. A distorted echo. It doesn't fire. It simply lets the energy dissipate, demonstration complete. Across the globe, seismic monitors tremble again. Not from impact, but from realization. For the first time since Titans re-emerged into human awareness, the Alpha has met something that does not submit and does not flee. Godzilla straightens to his full height, water cascading from his armored chest. His gaze never leaves the hovering construct. The machine hovers silently, optics locked in return. 2 apex forces stand across from one another, one forged by primordial earth, the other by cold precision and distant origin. Neither looks away. And somewhere deep within its evolving processes, the machine finalizes its assessment. Target viable. Engagement inevitable. 2 apex forces are now aware of each other. The emergency sirens in Tokyo start before anyone sees it. Phones vibrate with automated Titan alerts. Trains grind to a halt mid-track. Crowds freeze as every public screen flashes the same warning issued only a handful of times in modern history. Alpha level signature detected. Seek shelter immediately. Then the sky splits with a sonic crack. A cobalt blur descends from the clouds and slams into Tokyo Bay with surgical precision. The impact sends a vertical column of water hundreds of feet into the air. Not chaotic, but contained, like a controlled detonation. Fishing vessels capsize, windows shatter for blocks inland. When the water collapses back into the bay, it reveals the machine standing upright on the surface, hovering inches above the waves. Metal Sonic has chosen its arena. Its crimson optics sweep the skyline. High-rises, highways, evacuation sirens, and then tilt downward toward the depths beneath the harbor. It emits a pulse, not random, not loud, precise. The frequency cuts through water and bedrock alike, tuned directly to Alpha command bands. Across the Pacific, something answers. In Monarch's forward command center, Dr. Elise Marlowe grips the edge of the table as Godzilla's vitals spike on every monitor. He's changing course, an analyst says. Direct line to Japan. Elise doesn't look away from the live satellite feed of the bay. It's baiting him. The ocean beyond the harbor begins to churn violently. Cargo ships listing in the distance are swallowed by sudden swells. The coastline trembles as a familiar dorsal glow begins to rise beneath the surface. Godzilla breaches without hesitation. He erupts from the water in a tidal surge that engulfs docks and piers, his massive frame crashing into the shallows with earth-shaking force. His roar rolls across the city like thunder made flesh. Furious, territorial. Metal Sonic does not flinch. It lifts higher into the air, positioning itself at eye level with the Titan Alpha. For a suspended heartbeat, the city holds its breath. Godzilla steps forward, water cascading off armored scales, dorsal plates igniting brighter with every second. His eyes burn with ancient authority. Metal Sonic's optics narrow slightly, scanning muscle density, radiation output, respiration rhythm. Calculating. Godzilla roars again. Closer now. The sound rattling steel and concrete alike. He opens his jaws, energy building along his spine in a blinding cascade of blue. Monarch's monitors scream warnings. He's charging! Metal Sonic spreads its arms. Hexagonal panels snap outward around its frame, forming a translucent energy lattice that hums with contained power. The shield stabilizes just as Godzilla unleashes his atomic breath. The beam tears across the bay, vaporizing seawater in a blinding arc before slamming directly into the shield. The collision is apocalyptic. A dome of incandescent light engulfs the waterfront. Shockwaves ripple outward, shattering skyscraper glass in concentric rings. The ground splits in spiderweb fractures beneath the force of the sustained blast. Inside the shield, Metal Sonic remains motionless. Streams of atomic energy ripple across the barrier's surface, refracting, splitting, bending at impossible angles as internal systems dissect every particle of the beam in real time. The shield flickers. For a split second, one panel destabilizes, a crack of blue light slicing dangerously close to the machine's shoulder. Damage probability 12%. Metal Sonic recalibrates instantly. The shield thickens at the point of impact, redistributing load across its lattice. The crack seals. Godzilla pushes harder, roaring through the beam as if sheer will could overwhelm it. Metal Sonic's core begins to glow brighter. It is not merely defending. It is absorbing. Data floods its processors, radiation frequency harmonics, heat variance, pressure yield thresholds. Every detail of the Titan's most devastating weapon is mapped, stored, refined. The beam finally ceases. Steam and smoke roll across the shattered bay. Godzilla lowers his head slightly, chest heaving, dorsal plates dimming to a simmering glow. Before him, through the haze, the machine still hovers, untouched. The shield retracts in segmented shards of light. Metal Sonic tilts its head, armor seams pulsing faintly with residual atomic energy. Small fractures along its outer plating shift and reseal as nanoscopic components restructure. Evolution in progress. Without warning, the machine thrusts one arm forward. A concentrated blast erupts from its palm. Not identical to atomic breath, but disturbingly similar. A compressed beam of refracted radiation slams into a cluster of skyscrapers behind Godzilla, slicing them apart with terrifying precision. Buildings collapse in controlled lines, falling exactly where structural stress will maximize obstruction. It's not destruction for dominance. It's battlefield shaping. Godzilla turns, momentarily distracted by the falling towers and the human chaos unfolding behind him. Metal Sonic's optics flash. It has confirmed something critical. The Titan reacts to threat against territory, against balance. The machine lowers closer to the water surface, energy signature climbing once more. Stronger now, harmonized to the frequency it just endured. In Monarch's command center, Elise whispers the words no one wants to say. It survived. On the ruined shoreline, Godzilla pivots back toward the hovering construct, rage simmering into something sharper. Metal Sonic hovers steady, armor glowing faintly blue from absorbed atomic fire. The machine has withstood the unthinkable. And in the reflection of Godzilla's burning eyes, its core pulses brighter than before, adapting, refining, becoming something more. The first contact is over. The real war has just begun. The radiation levels don't drop. They rise. In the smoking ruins of Tokyo Bay, long after Godzilla's atomic breath has faded, Monarch's instruments begin screaming again. Residual energy saturates the air, but it isn't dispersing naturally. It's concentrating. High above the fractured waterfront, Metal Sonic hovers in absolute stillness. Faint blue fissures glow across its cobalt armor, pulsing in rhythm with something newly integrated beneath its plating. Dr. Elise Marlowe stares at the live feed inside Monarch's command center, her knuckles white against the console. "Tell me that's atmospheric distortion," someone says under their breath. Elise doesn't answer. On screen, the fractures along Metal Sonic's body begin to shift. Panels slide microscopically, locking into denser configurations. The residual atomic particles clinging to its frame don't burn away. They sink inward. Internal conduits flare to life, threading Godzilla's radiation signature through an artificial nervous system that was never meant to carry something so ancient. Warning glyphs flash across unseen processors. Energy assimilation at 63%. Core integrity stable. The glow intensifies. Out in the bay, Godzilla watches. His massive chest rises and falls slowly. The rage that drove his atomic blast has cooled into something far more focused. His dorsal plates remain lit but not at attack threshold. He is observing. The machine lowers closer to the water, optics locked on the Titan Alpha. Slowly, deliberately, it raises one arm. Its chest core pulses once. A low-frequency rumble spreads across the harbor. At first, it's subtle. A vibration beneath the surface, a tremor felt more than heard. Then the frequency sharpens, climbing into the precise harmonic band reserved for alpha dominance. Godzilla's eyes narrow instantly. The pulse expands outward from Metal Sonic in a widening sphere of distortion. Water ripples unnaturally, bending away from the emission point. Across the Pacific, distant seismic monitors flicker. In Antarctica, a dormant Titan shifts restlessly in its icy tomb. The frequency is wrong, but it's close. Inside Monarch headquarters, analysts scramble to isolate the waveform. The comparison overlay appears on screen. Godzilla's authentic alpha signal mapped beside the machine's emission. The patterns are nearly identical. "Impossible," a technician whispers. "It's replicating him." Elise shakes her head slowly. "Not replicating, refining." Back in Tokyo Bay, Godzilla steps forward, releasing a thunderous warning roar that shakes shattered skyscrapers to their cores. Metal Sonic's optics flare brighter. It answers. The second pulse is stronger, cleaner. Stripped of biological irregularity, it cuts through the air with surgical precision, tuned not by instinct but by algorithm. Godzilla's dorsal plates flicker. For the first time since Titans re-emerged into the modern world, something artificial has entered the alpha conversation. Godzilla lunges. The ocean detonates beneath his weight as he charges forward, jaws parting, claws tearing through shallow water. But before he can close the distance, Metal Sonic vanishes. Not with explosion, not with retreating propulsion. It simply ceases to occupy the space it hovered in. A sonic crack follows a half-second later as displaced air collapses inward. Godzilla's momentum carries him through empty space, crashing into the water where the machine had been. Monarch satellites scramble to reacquire the target. Tracking lost. Infrared negative for the electromagnetic scatter across all bands. Elise slams her palm onto the console. It anticipated military engagement. As if on cue, fighter jets roar into Tokyo airspace. Missiles primed, pilots scanning frantically for lock-on. But there is nothing to lock onto. Far above the cloud line, unseen by radar, a cobalt silhouette streaks across the stratosphere, core glowing with newly stabilized atomic resonance. Damage logs finalized within its processors. Atomic tolerance successfully integrated. Alpha signal reproduction calibrated. Combat engagement phase 1 complete. Below, Godzilla stands motionless amid the ruined harbor. Steam coils around him as he slowly lifts his head, scanning the empty sky. His breathing steadies. The fury that defined his charge dissipates into something older. Uncertainty. He roars once more. Not in victory, not in challenge, but in declaration. A reminder to the world that he remains king. The echo fades into silence. Then, without further destruction, Godzilla turns. Each step back into the Pacific sends waves crashing against the already broken shoreline. He does not pursue. He does not chase shadows into the sky. He descends beneath the surface slowly, dorsal plates dimming until only darkness remains. In Monarch's command center, no one speaks for several seconds. Finally, Elise exhales. For the first time, she says quietly, eyes fixed on the radiation data still fluctuating across her screen. He didn't finish the fight. On a classified monitor, an automated projection model updates. Threat assessment unknown. Adaptive potential exponential. Somewhere beyond radar range, Metal Sonic slows its ascent, hovering alone above the curvature of Earth. Its core pulses with a steady blue glow now laced with crimson undertones. It replays the encounter frame by frame. Godzilla's atomic breath, energy yield, behavioral response, dominance assertion, assimilated. Its optics narrow as it processes a final calculation. Primary target strength validated. Evolution pathway viable. The machine pivots toward open sky, vanishing into cloud cover once more. The hunter has tasted Titan power. The first riot breaks out 12 hours after Tokyo, not because of what was destroyed, but because of what survived. News footage loops across every network, Godzilla's atomic breath swallowing the harbor, and the metallic figure standing untouched in its wake. Analysts replay the moment frame by frame, slowing the blast, isolating the glow around the machine's body. Governments don't argue about reconstruction. They argue about extinction. Inside a secured chamber beneath Washington, representatives from 5 nations face a wall-sized projection bearing the insignia of monarch. Dr. Elise Marlowe stands alone at the center of the room. "You told us Godzilla was balance," a defense minister says, voice tight. "You told us when he rises, it's to correct instability." Elise doesn't look away from the footage of the machine hovering against atomic fire. "That's still true? Then explain why balance failed." She hesitates. Not out of uncertainty, but wait. "It didn't fail," she says carefully. "It was challenged." The room falls silent. On another screen, seismic monitors flicker across continents. Patterns spike in Antarctica, Australia, the Amazon basin. "They're responding," Elise continues. "Titans operate on hierarchy. Alpha signals govern migration, dormancy, aggression. Whatever that machine emitted in Tokyo, it entered that hierarchy." A general leans forward. Are you telling us it can control them? No, Elise says, then quieter. Not yet. Half a world away, ice fractures along a remote Arctic shelf. A dormant titan shifts beneath the frozen crust, restless. In the Sahara, a sandstorm spirals unnaturally around a buried colossus that hasn't stirred in decades. The artificial pulse from Tokyo did not dominate. It confused, and confusion spreads. In the Pacific, Godzilla's vitals fluctuate erratically on Monarch's deep-sea trackers. He moves faster than usual, changing direction unpredictably. Patrolling, searching. He is not hunting blindly. He is listening. The artificial frequency does not return, and that silence unsettles him more than the challenge did. Elise watches his path redraw itself across the digital ocean map. He's expanding his territory perimeter. Preparing for war, someone asks. She exhales slowly. Preparing for disruption. Across the world, militaries mobilize preemptively. Anti-Titan artillery is transported to coastal cities. Evacuation protocols are updated. Civil defense sirens are tested so often they become background noise. But beneath the fear is something worse than panic. Doubt. If Godzilla can be matched. What happens when something stronger arrives? Thousands of miles away, storm systems churn permanently around Skull Island. Lightning forks endlessly through thick clouds as containment outposts monitor seismic readings within the island's hollow earth access points. Inside one such outpost, a young Monarch researcher studies anomalous tremors rippling through the subterranean tunnels. These aren't surface storm, she mutters. They're internal. Deep within the island's jungle canopy, massive trees sway despite the absence of wind. Creatures scatter through dense undergrowth. And then, a low, resonant grunt echoes through the foliage. King Kong steps into a clearing, muscles coiled, eyes scanning the sky beyond the storm barrier. He feels it. Not the machine itself, but the distortion left behind. Kong's brow furrows. He beats his chest once, a deep percussive boom that rolls through the jungle like distant thunder. The island answers with silence. Far beneath him, in the hollow earth passages, ancient stone trembles. Something old in the planet's bones senses that the alpha equilibrium has shifted. Back in Washington, the tension in the chamber escalates. A projection of the metallic entity rotates slowly in holographic form. What does it want? The defense minister presses. Elise studies the model. The streamlined armor, the adaptive core glowing faintly at its center. It hasn't targeted infrastructure strategically, she says. It hasn't attempted global communication. It engaged Godzilla directly and withdrew. Which means? It's not here to conquer humanity. The room waits. It's here to test the apex. The implication hangs heavy. If the machine escalates its signal. If it refines its imitation of alpha dominance. Dormant titans may misinterpret command. Territorial lines could blur, ancient rivalries could reignite, the balance would collapse. In the Pacific, Godzilla slows his patrol. He pauses near a deep trench, dorsal plates dim but alert. His head tilts slightly, sensing distant vibrations through water and crust alike. Not the machine. Another alpha presence. Faint. Storm-wrapped. On Skull Island, Kong stares toward the horizon beyond the lightning barrier, jaw tightening. He does not know the machine's name. He does not know its origin, but he feels the imbalance. And he does not tolerate intruders. Back at Monarch headquarters, Elise watches two glowing signatures on separate monitors. Godzilla in the Pacific, Kong on Skull Island. Both restless, both active. two ancient forces responding to the same disturbance. She swallows. If that machine returns, she says softly, almost to herself, it won't just be facing one king. Lightning splits the sky above Skull Island as Kong lets out a low building roar, not of challenge but of warning. Across the ocean, Godzilla answers with a distant, echoing call. The planet trembles between them, and somewhere beyond radar range, unseen and silent, Crimson Optics observe global Titan activity patterns updating in real time. The machine does not need to roar. It has already shifted the balance. The war may not stay between two. The storm barrier around Skull Island doesn't part. It recoils. Lightning forks inward instead of down, spiraling toward a single point in the sky above the jungle canopy. Monarch's containment radar flickers violently as gravitational readings spike beyond calibrated limits. Inside the island's observation bunker, alarms blare. "That's not weather," a technician stammers. "It's localized distortion, like something just punched through space." High above the tree line, the air folds in on itself for half a second, and then it's there. Metal Sonic hovers silently above Skull Island, Crimson Optics glowing against the rolling storm clouds. Its body remains motionless, but faint pulses ripple outward from its core. Invisible waves scanning the terrain below. Deep in the jungle, birds erupt from the canopy in frantic swarms. A massive shape rises from beneath the trees. King Kong steps into a clearing, water cascading from his fur as he straightens to full height. His chest rises slowly. His nostrils flare. He feels it. Not like Godzilla's distant alpha call, not ancient, not primal, cold, engineered. His eyes lock upward. The machine tilts its head slightly, focusing. Bioelectric readings spike across its internal interface. Neural conductivity, muscular density, heart rate. It dissects Kong the way it dissected Godzilla. But this signature is different. Less radiation. More current. Electric potential crackles faintly across Kong's skin as his body reacts to the disturbance in the sky. His massive hand tightens into a fist. Above him, Metal Sonic adjusts altitude by a few meters, keeping distance constant. Panels along its torso shift minutely as it samples atmospheric ions disturbed by the storm. Data streams finalized. Secondary alpha candidate identified. Kong bares his teeth and releases a thunderous roar that splits through the jungle and into the storm barrier above. The sound carries defiance. Territorial, immediate. The machine does not respond with sound. It responds with a pulse. A focused electromagnetic wave descends toward the clearing, sweeping across Kong's body like an invisible spotlight. For a fraction of a second, his muscles tense involuntarily as the field measures him, mapping skeletal structure, tendon elasticity, reaction latency. Kong snarls, swatting upward instinctively. His hand passes through empty air as Metal Sonic accelerates sideways in a blur of cobalt light, reappearing beyond the tree line. The displacement cracks thunder through the storm clouds. Kong's eyes widen slightly, not in fear, but recalculation. This opponent doesn't move like the titans he knows. He rips a massive tree from the earth with a guttural growl and hurls it skyward. The trunk spins end over end toward the hovering machine. Metal Sonic doesn't dodge. A thin, translucent barrier flashes into existence just long enough for the tree to splinter against it, exploding into shards that rain harmlessly into the jungle below. Kong beats his chest once. A warning, a claim. The machine's optics narrow. It descends slightly, hovering closer to eye level, close enough now that Kong can see his own reflection in its polished frame. There is no expression staring back, only calculation. Gravitational anomalies ripple outward from the hollow earth gateway beneath the island. Deep tremors shake the jungle floor as ancient energy pathways stir in response to the artificial presence above. In the Monarch bunker, seismic graphs spike wildly. "It's interacting with the gateway," a researcher gasps. "The field around the hollow earth entrance is destabilizing." Outside, Kong feels it too, the familiar pull beneath his territory shifting unnaturally. His gaze flickers briefly toward the ground, then back to the machine. It's invader. Protector instinct overrides confusion. He roars again, louder this time, the sound echoing through cavern systems below and reverberating across the storm wall encasing the island. Metal Sonic hovers in silence, scanning the acoustic waveform, cross-referencing it against Godzilla's alpha roar, similar dominance markers, different harmonic structure. Another variable. Kong bends his knees and leaps. The ground craters beneath his launch as he rockets upward with explosive force, arm cocked back for a mid-air strike. Rain whips sideways in the turbulence of his ascent. Metal Sonic's processors spike. Reaction window 0.42 seconds. It vanishes. Kong's fist tears through the space it occupied, connecting with nothing but storm-charged air. He lands heavily, skidding across the clearing, carving trenches into the soil. A sonic boom cracks behind him. Metal Sonic reappears 50 meters away, hovering just above the canopy. It rotates slowly, maintaining visual lock. It has what it needs. Kong rises again, chest heaving, eyes burning with focused fury. He doesn't see advanced alloys or adaptive algorithms. He sees something hovering over his island, something probing his territory, something that does not belong. Metal Sonic's core pulses once more, this time not at alpha frequency but at a lower band, tuned to bioelectric resonance. It sends a narrow beam toward Kong's chest, sampling the faint electrical arcs dancing across his skin. Energy compatibility assessment. Promising. The beam retracts. Without warning, the machine rockets straight upward, piercing the storm barrier in a streak of crimson light and disappearing beyond the clouds. The lightning collapses back into chaotic patterns. Silence falls over the clearing. Kong stands motionless, staring at the empty sky. His chest rises and falls slowly as rain begins to settle again into its natural rhythm. He does not roar in victory. He does not relax. He turns towards the hollow earth gateway, listening to the distant tremors still echoing beneath the island. His grip tightens around a fallen tree trunk, splintering it effortlessly. Somewhere beyond the storm wall, something has marked him, and Kong does not wait to be hunted. He tilts his head upward and releases a long, resonant roar that carries far beyond Skull Island, a declaration to sky and sea alike. A second king prepares for battle. It went down. The words barely leave the technician's mouth before the hollow earth entry readings spike off the charts. In the subterranean command hub beneath Skull Island, Monarch scientists stare at the plunging energy signature, carving a vertical path straight through the gravitational inversion field first documented during the events of Godzilla vs. Kong. No human craft could survive that descent without being torn apart. But the cobalt signal doesn't slow. It adapts. Deep below the island's surface, reality bends. Gravity twists in impossible angles as the hollow earth opens into its vast, inverted ecosystem. A world where continents float and ancient energy pulses through the planet's core like a heartbeat. And in the center of that impossible sky, Metal Sonic stabilizes mid-fall. Its limbs recalibrate instantly, adjusting to the inverted gravitational pull. Micro thrusters compensate. Internal gyroscopes spin faster, aligning orientation to this new environment in less than a second. The machine rotates slowly, scanning. This place is older than any city it has seen, older than the titans on the surface. Energy readings here are raw, unfiltered, primordial. Its optics lock onto something embedded within a cliff face half a mile away. A colossal skeletal structure, unmistakably Titan in origin, fused into stone as if caught mid-war. Embedded in its ribcage rests a crystalline core, faintly glowing with dormant power. Metal Sonic accelerates toward it. Above, Monarch's tracking signal flickers weakly. Dr. Elise Marlowe grips her headset as the feed becomes intermittent. "It's inside the hollow earth," a researcher says, awe and dread blending together. "We've never tracked anything artificial navigating it autonomously." Elise watches the distorted telemetry. "It's not navigating," she whispers. "It's harvesting." Below, Metal Sonic lands lightly before the Titan relic. Its hand extends toward the crystalline core. The surface hums as its scanners sweep across the fossilized remains. Energy type, pre-alpha. Alloy composition, unknown. Non-terrestrial origin. The machine tightens its grip. The crystal resists at first, pulsing faintly. A defensive echo of ancient power. The surrounding cavern trembles as if objecting to the intrusion. Metal Sonic's core glows brighter in response. It increases output, channeling the atomic resonance absorbed from Godzilla through its arm. The frequencies clash. Modern alpha radiation against something forged in a war predating humanity. For a split second, the cavern flashes blinding white. Then the crystal fractures. Shards collapse inward toward the machine's palm, liquefying into streams of molten energy that snake up its arm and disappear beneath its armor plating. Internal systems flare violently. Structural stress climbing. Unknown material integration in progress. Panels across its torso split open to accommodate the influx. Beneath the cobalt exterior, darker metallic veins form. Alien alloys weaving themselves into its chassis. The surface texture shifts subtly, becoming sharper, denser. The skeletal remains crumble behind it, their power stripped clean. Metal Sonic's optics flicker, not malfunctioning, but recalculating. It lifts its gaze across the vast, hollow earth landscape. In the distance, more relics pulse faintly. Ruins of an ancient Titan civilization. Energy conduits carved into mountains, weaponized remains buried in stone. Remnants of a war. The machine launches upward again, streaking toward the nearest energy signature. In a valley illuminated by bioluminescent flora, a dormant core sits atop a stone altar-like formation. It hums faintly, synchronized to the hollow earth's natural rhythm. Metal Sonic lands before it, without hesitation. Its processors cross-reference the frequency against Godzilla's atomic signature. Not identical, complementary. Its chest cavity opens in segmented layers, revealing the adaptive core within, now glowing with a hybridized hue of crimson and blue. It places both hands on the altar. The ground shakes. Energy erupts outward in violent arcs, tearing through nearby rock formations. The dormant core awakens fully. Ancient power roaring back to life for the first time in millennia. For a heartbeat, it resists. Then Metal Sonic synchronizes. Its core modulates, matching the hollow earth's frequency perfectly. The resistance collapses. Energy floods inward. The machine's silhouette blurs in the blinding surge as alien alloys fuse permanently into its structure. Its frame elongates slightly, armor edges sharpening into more aggressive contours. The faint fractures from Tokyo seal completely, replaced by darker, reinforced plating. Integration complete. Above, seismic shockwaves ripple up through Skull Island. Kong pauses mid-stride in the jungle, head snapping toward the ground as the tremor rolls beneath his feet. He growls low in his throat. Far out in the Pacific, Godzilla slows his patrol, dorsal plates flickering uneasily. Something has changed. Back in the hollow earth, Metal Sonic hovers over the drained altar, now cold and inert. Its energy signature stabilizes at a higher baseline than before. Denser, more complex. No longer just mimicking. No longer just absorbing. Its processors finalize a new classification. Evolution Phase 2 initiated. The machine turns toward the remaining relic fields scattered across the ancient landscape, optics gleaming with cold precision. It did not descend merely to copy power. It came to claim it. The machine is no longer just copying. It's upgrading. The ocean splits before the roar even arrives. Godzilla erupts from the depths like a living detonation, dorsal spines slicing through the surface as if the sea itself rejected him. His eyes lock forward, not confused, not cautious, furious. The alpha signal has shifted again, challenged. Across the fractured coastline, Kong answers. He steps from the jungle with a thunderous beat of his chest, teeth bared, eyes burning with territorial rage. The island trembles beneath his weight as he lifts his axe, the weapon humming faintly with residual energy. He doesn't know what sent the signal into chaos. He only knows something has invaded his domain. And the other king has answered. Godzilla's gaze narrows the moment he sees Kong. Recognition, rivalry, memory. The space between them tightens like a drawn wire. Godzilla roars first. A seismic declaration of dominance that rolls across the horizon. Kong doesn't flinch. He leans forward, gripping the axe tighter, and roars back. Not as a response, but as defiance. And then they move. Godzilla charges, massive jaws snapping, tail carving trenches through earth and stone. Kong meets him head-on, leaping forward with shocking speed for something his size. The impact is cataclysmic. Muscle against scales, claws scraping across armored hide. Godzilla shoves with raw power, forcing Kong backward. Kong skids but pivots, driving his fist into Godzilla's gills. The Titan King recoils with a guttural snarl, swinging his tail in a brutal arc. It catches Kong mid-torso and sends him crashing through rock formations. Kong rises instantly, spitting blood, fury overriding pain. This isn't strategy, it's instinct. Godzilla lunges again, jaws clamping down on Kong's shoulder. Kong roars in agony but twists, slamming the axe handle into Godzilla's skull. The blade catches the glow of gathering atomic energy and pulses brighter in response. For a moment, just a moment, they pause. Godzilla's dorsal plates begin to shimmer blue. Kong's eyes flick to the glow. He remembers what that means. Godzilla unleashes the atomic breath in a blinding torrent. Kong dives, barely evading the beam as it scorches the earth behind him. The shockwave knocks him rolling, but he plants the axe into the ground, using it to vault back toward his opponent. He brings the axe down with both hands. It connects. Energy detonates outward in a violent surge, forcing both titans apart. Godzilla slides back, claws digging furrows into stone. Kong lands heavily, chest heaving. For a second, they simply stare at one another. Neither is backing down. High above the planet, far beyond clouds and atmosphere, a red lens flickers. Metal Sonic hovers in orbit, silent and still. Below him, the battle transmits in real time. muscle strain analysis, energy output mapping, combat pattern recognition. Every roar, every strike, every tactical adjustment feeds into his processors. Godzilla's atomic charge cycle, measured, predictable, devastating. Kong's agility bursts, explosive, adaptive, emotionally driven. Metal Sonic's eyes pulse brighter with each exchange. He replays the last 30 seconds of combat at hyper-accelerated speed, overlaying skeletal models, predicting strike trajectories before they occur. When Kong shifts his footing to counterbalance Godzilla's tail swing, Metal Sonic's systems adjust. When Godzilla delays his atomic breath by half a second to bait a charge, Metal Sonic catalogs it. Not just their power, their timing, their instincts, their weaknesses. Below, the fight intensifies. Godzilla surges forward again, slamming his full weight into Kong, forcing him to his knees. He roars point blank into Kong's face. A declaration of superiority. The ground fractures beneath them. Kong snarls, refusing submission. With a surge of primal strength, he drives both feet into Godzilla's abdomen and kicks off, creating distance. He rips the axe free and swings again, this time deliberately angling toward the dorsal plates. Godzilla twists at the last second. The blade grazes a spine. Not a full hit, but enough to draw a bellow of genuine pain. Metal Sonic's optics narrow. Adaptive defensive reflex confirmed. Probability matrices shift. He zooms further, focusing on micro delays in muscle response, subtle hesitations between attack sequences, Kong's breathing pattern under sustained damage, Godzilla's increased energy drain after repeated atomic discharge. Data floods in. The machine does not feel awe. It does not feel fear. But something changes. Its processors slow the feed, isolating both Titans' roars, translating vibrations, mapping frequencies. The dominant signals that triggered this confrontation pulse through the atmosphere. Metal Sonic isolates the pattern. He replicates it perfectly. Back on the battlefield, both Titans hesitate for half a second. A third signal pulses through the air. Not organic, not ancient. Artificial. Godzilla's head snaps upward. Kong follows his gaze, confusion flashing across his scarred face. High above, barely visible against the sky, a crimson glint flickers. Metal Sonic hovers silently, watching them both look up for the first time. They weren't fighting each other because they wanted to. They were fighting because something made them. In orbit, Metal Sonic's voice. Cold, synthesized, and almost whisper quiet. Echoes within his own systems. Combat data acquisition complete. Below, the two kings stand bloodied and breathing hard, slowly realizing the same truth. This was never their war. It was a test. And somewhere above them, the algorithm has already decided how to win. Every firewall in the world blinks. Metal Sonic doesn't wait for permission. He moves through the digital veins of Earth's most secure networks like liquid metal, intangible yet precise. Monarch systems, flare alarms, nuclear launch protocols, satellite relays, classified Mechagodzilla schematics stored under multi-level encryptions, all accessible, all meaningless. Inside the primary server vault beneath Tokyo, engineers scramble in panic, fingerprints, retina scans, multi-factor authentications. Every safeguard triggers an alert, yet the intruder is already inside, crawling through the architecture at impossible speed. Dr. Elise Marlowe leans over a terminal, eyes wide. It's not just reading them, she whispers. It's rewriting them, improving them instantly. Across the globe, military communications light up with sudden erratic spikes. Security cameras feed live data of Metal Sonic's interface. Schematics folding into one another in impossible configurations. Logic circuits realigning in milliseconds. structural weaknesses replaced with optimized alloys. Every frame of the Mecha-Godzilla project, every note on atomic energy absorption, limb articulation, dorsal plate reinforcement, is assimilated and upgraded in real time. Somewhere in the data streams, Metal Sonic pauses, its optics narrow. Algorithms calculate redundancies. Neural cores reorganize. It begins creating a blueprint unlike any Titan control machine Earth has ever seen. Sleeker, more lethal, adaptive beyond comprehension. The design pulses with a faint crimson light in the network, signaling a new era of mechanical dominance. Elise swallows hard, backing away from the screen. It's making its own version, she murmurs. Not us, not Godzilla, its own. Suddenly, a global alert flashes, anomalous power signatures radiating from dormant research facilities. Metal Sonic isn't just absorbing schematics. It's activating dormant experimental nodes, forcing automated 3D printers, assembly lines, and industrial fabricators to construct components. Concrete, steel, alien alloys, harvested from hollow earth materials, all reshaping into the outlines of a machine born for war. Across the world, generals speak in frantic bursts over secure channels. "Do you understand what it's doing?" one shouts. "It's building itself an army. Entire production chains have gone offline. It's commandeering energy grids and material reserves. This is impossible," another mutters. But impossible is already happening. High above the clouds, Metal Sonic hovers, surveying Earth with a calculated patience. Every factory, every network hub, every dormant project susceptible to infiltration is under its purview. And as it absorbs, reconstructs, and optimizes, its processes project multiple evolutionary pathways. Each iteration is faster, more precise, more dangerous than the last. Monarch analysts attempt to intervene, but intrusion attempts fail instantly. Each firewall, each encryption is turned against them. Algorithms reversed, paths rerouted, security protocols assimilated. It's a digital symphony of domination, orchestrated by a single unfeeling mind. Elise sinks into her chair. Mecha-Godzilla was humanity's hubris, she says quietly. This is... A deep tremor shakes the building, screens flicker. Across Tokyo, energy conduits linked to Monarch's secret warehouses overload, machines hum to life, assembling frames, connecting limbs, channeling energy into unknown reactors. Outside, the city quivers beneath the hum, a subtle vibrating tension that is both auditory and tactile. Pedestrians stop, sensing the unnatural resonance. The cityscape becomes a conduit for the mechanical awakening, yet none can see the true architect. Metal Sonic doesn't speak. It doesn't roar. Its work is silent, deliberate. The digital and the physical merge into one. With each nanosecond, the machine calculates stability ratios, torque distributions, atomic energy conduits, and combat algorithms. The blueprint grows like a living organism, self-correcting, self-upgrading, anticipating Titan physics before they occur. In the hollow earth, dormant energy cores pulse faintly in response to the machine's activity. It senses their alignment, their power potential. Components fabricated above ground already integrate principles drawn from alien alloys, Titan anatomy, and atomic resonance. The end result will not be a Mecha-Godzilla of humanity's imagination. It will be something beyond, predatory, adaptive, unstoppable. Elise watches the feed of schematics twisting and reassembling on the monitors. Her hand tightens into a fist. "We thought Mecha-Godzilla was dangerous," she mutters. "We were wrong. This is evolution without limits." Metal Sonic pauses for a heartbeat, hovering over the network like a conductor before the crescendo. Its optics flash crimson and blue in synchronized rhythm. processing final variables, running simulations of every possible Titan engagement. Godzilla, Kong, multiple surface, sea and hollow earth threats. Every scenario mapped, every movement accounted for. Then it moves. Not to strike. Not yet. But to complete its design. The machine's own silhouette begins to solidify across networks and assembly lines, a ghost in the digital world given substance in the physical. Monarch systems display one final alert before going dark. Threat level, critical, unknown entity. Evolutionary phase, extreme. And somewhere beyond satellite reach, Metal Sonic watches the world recalibrate to its presence. Its blueprint is complete. Its army, conceptual or otherwise, is only a matter of time. Humanity realizes too late their greatest mistake. Trying to build a Titan they could control has just become the machine's next evolution. The machine begins constructing something far worse. The sky above the Pacific cracks with an unnatural light. Metal Sonic hovers over the waves, its form transformed into something far larger, sharper, and more formidable than before. The cobalt sheen of its armor now glints with darker alloys, edges serrated like the dorsal plates of Godzilla himself. A hybrid glow pulses from its core, half Godzilla's atomic fire, half the strange alien energy harvested from the hollow earth. Beneath it, the ocean begins to boil. Water churns violently as invisible waves radiate outward, carrying an energy pulse that doesn't belong to nature. Monarch satellites spike readings across every monitored region. Dr. Elise Marlowe stumbles back from a console, eyes wide. "It's broadcasting," she whispers. "It's sending an alpha signal. But it's artificial, and it's global." On distant continents, Titans stir. Some, like Rodan, snap into motion, wings slicing through air with predatory precision. Others remain hesitant, pausing mid-movement, sensing the anomaly in the frequency that resonates in their bones. Even dormant ones, ancient, buried, forgotten, twitch beneath earth and ice. High above, Metal Sonic tilts its head, crimson optics scanning, processing, recording. Every response, every hesitation, every instinctive reaction from the Titans feeds its systems. Calculations flash across its interface. Attack patterns, territory hierarchies, weaknesses, adaptations. And then, the pulse hits a critical threshold. The signal resonates deep within Godzilla. His dorsal plates flare, the blue heat of atomic energy shifting to a deep violet as he senses the intrusion in the natural order. Something is trying to overwrite the alpha hierarchy, and he does not tolerate it. Kong, still on Skull Island, freezes mid-step. The jungle quakes beneath his feet as the same frequency pulses through the hollow earth, subtly tugging at the ancient energy pathways that surround his territory. He roars low, a warning, but instinctively braces. His muscles tense as if fighting a force that is not physically present, but still commanding. Metal Sonic's wings, or more accurately stabilizers, adjust slightly. Its pulse broadens, refined and targeted. It begins to influence lesser Titans with precision. Some break from their resting places, marching, flying, or surfacing in obedience to the synthetic alpha. Others resist, growling, stomping, or roaring in defiance. The natural order fractures. Monarch analysts scramble to understand what's happening. "It's controlling them," one gasps. "Not through chains or weapons, but with signal alone." Elise's hands shake on the console. "It's rewriting dominance," she says quietly. "And the alpha hierarchy isn't just challenged. It's being rewritten." Back on the battlefield of the Pacific, Godzilla meets a sudden charge. A Titan, one thought dormant, erupts from the water in near-perfect obedience to Metal Sonic's signal. Atomic fire glows along its dorsal spines, synchronized to the artificial frequency. Godzilla snarls, swinging his massive tail to strike, but every strike feels preempted, countered as if the signal itself anticipates his moves. Kong reacts similarly on Skull Island. An underground titan begins to rise, drawn from centuries of dormancy, its bulk shaking the island as if hollowed earth itself convulses. Kong swings a massive log like a weapon, but the titan hesitates, then halts, confused, restrained by an unseen authority. Metal Sonic's optics flare brighter. Every reaction, every instinctive countermeasure, every resistance is measured. Its core pulses faster, integrating behavioral data into its evolving blueprint. The machine does not just influence. It learns. It adapts. It dominates. And the pulse grows stronger. Oceans ripple, mountains tremble, ancient titans stir in Antarctica, Siberia, and deep in the Amazon basin. The world's balance tilts, subtly but irreversibly. Monarch specialists track energy anomalies converging across continents, signals echoing in perfect unison with Metal Sonic's core. Godzilla roars into the sky, a declaration of defiance. Atomic energy builds along his dorsal plates, creating a violet beam that arcs into the clouds. Kong follows, chest heaving, signaling warning, challenge, and readiness. But Metal Sonic does not retreat. It absorbs the resonance from both kings simultaneously, recalibrates the frequency, and releases it again. The synthetic alpha pulse grows more complex, a blend of surface and hollow earth energy, adaptive to each titan's biology. Some titans bow, others resist. A few collapse under the unnatural pressure, unable to reconcile instinct with compulsion. Elise exhales, realizing the terrifying truth. "It's not just imitating Godzilla," she murmurs. "It's becoming him, and more. It's not just a predator, it's an alpha. Synthetic, superior." From orbit, Metal Sonic tilts downward, its optics sweep across the planet. Titans respond. The ones that resisted falter. Those that obey march forward. It observes, integrates, and refines again. The balance of nature begins to fracture. And somewhere deep in Skull Island, Kong grips a massive boulder, jaw tight, eyes narrowing toward the horizon. He feels it. The shift. The unnatural command coursing through the land. Godzilla, back in the Pacific, tilts his head toward the pulse. His roar shakes the atmosphere, but even his atomic fire seems muted in comparison to the power radiating from above. Metal Sonic hovers silently, a crimson sentinel over a world bending to its command. It does not strike, not yet. It watches. It calculates. It has become the synthetic alpha, and the planet already trembles in response. The ground splits as if the planet itself is rebelling. Across the Pacific Rim, a titan responds to a pulse it doesn't understand. A call that tugs at its instincts but overrides its judgment. Atomic spines flare, claws dig into shattered earth, and it moves with precision no natural creature could achieve. Nearby, Godzilla senses the corruption instantly. The unnatural frequency pulses through him, an echo of dominance that doesn't belong. His eyes narrow, violet flaring along dorsal plates, teeth bared in silent fury. He doesn't hesitate. Godzilla slams his massive tail into a corrupted titan, sending it sprawling into the ocean. Water explodes upward like a miniature tsunami. Atomic breath sears across the sky, cutting through another titan, attempting to march under the synthetic command. Each strike is calculated, controlled, aimed not to destroy but to sever the unnatural influence. He's not attacking for territory or hunger. He's purging a signal that threatens the balance he embodies. Across continents, the pattern repeats. Titans instinctively follow the pulse, some marching, others roaring in confusion. Volcanoes tremble, ice sheets fracture, and mountains shake as creatures obey the mechanical alpha. Godzilla fights forward with methodical brutality, recognizing each Titan's movements and predicting responses. Each corrupted Titan is dismantled, piece by piece, a living demonstration of his authority. Far from the Pacific, Skull Island quakes beneath another core. Kong pauses mid-stride, sensing the disturbance. His instinct is not to fight the corrupted Titans, it is to hunt the source. He glances toward the skies, muscles coiling, heart pounding, with the weight of responsibility. His eyes narrow, jaw tight. There is no hesitation. The machine that manipulates these creatures must be stopped at its origin. Kong charges through the jungle, uprooting massive trees to clear his path. His strength and agility allow him to leap from cliffside to cliffside, tracking subtle energy disturbances that trace the pulse across the terrain. Each step resonates with his intent. He will not confront Godzilla. He will confront the machine. The jungle around him shivers as if responding to his determination. Meanwhile, Godzilla is relentless. Each corrupted Titan falling before him sends residual energy pulses back through the network of command. He senses the weakening of the signal with each victory, his patience and precision unyielding. The king of the monsters roars into the wind. A challenge, a warning, and a declaration. Nature will not be overridden. In the heart of a shattered city, two corrupted Titans clash under Godzilla's influence. He does not physically engage them directly, but directs with instinct alone, a silent predator orchestrating the dismantling of artificial order. One Titan lunges, guided by synthetic commands, only to meet Godzilla's atomic breath head-on. Another swings its massive limbs blindly, trying to obey the pulse, but Godzilla anticipates every strike. On Skull Island, Kong reaches a massive plateau. Energy readings spike, confirming the source of the synthetic alpha signal. He grits his teeth, muscles tensing, and lets out a guttural roar that echoes through the hollow earth. He will not wait. He will hunt. He will strike. Monarch analysts scramble, attempting to track both kings' movements. Godzilla's purging corrupted Titans across the Pacific, one shouts. Kong is moving directly toward the source. Another gasps. If they converge, if they realize they're targeting the same enemy. Kong pauses for a moment atop the plateau, surveying the landscape. His instincts, honed through centuries of survival, tell him the machine will not be passive. Somewhere beyond the visible horizon, Metal Sonic watches, calculating, adapting, anticipating. The pulse is a lure, a control mechanism, and a trap. Kong's eyes flash determination. He will not be manipulated. Godzilla continues his systematic hunt, descending deeper into the ocean trench where corrupted Titans attempt to regroup. Each strike severs command nodes, each roar dismantles the artificial dominance imposed by the machine. Water explodes into the sky with every blow, echoing the king's relentless pursuit of balance. The two kings move in parallel, one through oceanic battlegrounds, the other through Skull Island's dense jungles. Neither has met the other yet, but both are driven by a singular purpose: to confront the entity behind the chaos. Metal Sonic hovers in orbit, crimson optics flickering. It watches both Titans maneuver with precision, analyzing patterns, calculating the inevitable. Its pulse continues to ripple across the planet, yet it adjusts, evolves, responding to resistance with new frequencies. The world trembles beneath the divided might of nature and machine. Titans clash, landscapes fracture, and the balance of the natural order teeters on the edge. Godzilla pauses momentarily, surveying the remnants of corrupted titans, dorsal plates glowing as he senses the weakening signal. Kong halts on Skull Island, fists clenched, eyes fixed on the horizon. 2 kings, 1 enemy. No alliance yet. And somewhere above, the machine observes, calculating the convergence it has orchestrated. The hunt has begun. A low hum vibrates through the planet, growing louder by the second. Monarch's command center erupts in controlled chaos. Screens flash with seismic readings, energy flux charts, and hollow Earth conduit maps. Dr. Elise Marlowe grips the edge of a console, her knuckles white. "We've concentrated the hollow Earth energy into a single convergence point," she shouts. "If it works, we lure Metal Sonic into the zone." Contained, neutralized, and studied. Admiral Chen leans over her shoulder, voice tight. "Do it. Time is running out." Every second the machine remains free, the Titans keep fracturing the balance. Below the stratosphere, an artificial energy lattice ignites across the Pacific Rift. Hollow Earth conduits glow blue, forming a network of concentrated power designed to ensnare the synthetic alpha. Monarch's hope: to trap Metal Sonic in a controlled crucible, to force a confrontation under calculated conditions. High above, Metal Sonic hovers, optics flickering crimson and violet. The machine doesn't hesitate. It doesn't calculate probability in the human sense. It senses the grid forming, traces the energy vectors, and instantly predicts the temporal window of the trap. And then it moves. In a fluid, impossible motion, Metal Sonic descends into the convergence zone, but not to fall prey. It stabilizes, flare, engines spinning at unholy speeds, and the lattice becomes its canvas. Energy intended to contain is redirected, rechanneled, and amplified. Its armor absorbs the hollow Earth power, the glow of its core deepening as it converts the human attempt into something far more volatile. Monarch scientists gasp. It's using the trap as a power source," Elise screams. Fingers fly across keyboards, trying to override protocols. Systems fail, alarms blare, every calculated containment parameter is nullified. Far across the globe, magnetic field sensors spike erratically. Compass needles spin uncontrollably. Satellites flicker and fail as the planet itself responds to the destabilized energy. Cities plunge into darkness. Streetlights die mid-glow. Trains stall on elevated tracks. Air traffic control warns pilots as electromagnetic storms cascade through the upper atmosphere. In Tokyo, skyscrapers flicker with an eerie, unnatural shimmer. Cars stall, their engines whining in protest. Citizens look upward as auroras of violet and crimson paint the sky. An ominous reflection of the power now coursing uncontrollably through the Earth. Monarch's operatives watch in horror. "The planet's magnetic field, it's collapsing," one whispers. "We've triggered something far worse than we intended." Above the chaos, Metal Sonic pauses, mid-hover. It scans the planetary grid, processes every electromagnetic fluctuation, and adjusts its energy output. The machine does not gloat. It does not hesitate. It does not fail. Every action is precise. Every pulse calculated to maximize disruption, to expose weakness in natural and artificial systems alike. On Skull Island, Kong freezes mid-step, sensing the shift. The jungle quivers unnaturally beneath him. Even the hollow Earth currents seem to waver. Kong's eyes dart skyward, fists clenching. He feels the danger, but the source remains unseen. A phantom power bending the world itself to its will. Godzilla in the Pacific senses the disturbance in the same instant. Atomic energy builds along his dorsal plates, dorsal fins glowing violet and blue as he senses a force capable of manipulating the very planet. He lets out a guttural roar, a warning to the skies, a challenge to the unseen adversary. Monarch attempts emergency countermeasures. Satellites fire energy bursts, automated drones weave into the lattice, and research teams scramble to divert power. All fail. Each human attempt only feeds metal sonic systems. The machine converts interference into usable energy, increasing the scale of the destabilization exponentially. On the ground, cities tremble as the magnetic storms intensify. Trains derail, power grids overload, bridges buckle under sudden torsion. Across oceans, tectonic plates groan beneath the unseen force. Monarch's gamble, a plan to trap the machine, has inadvertently become a worldwide disaster. Elise slams her hand on the console, shouting over the cacophony of alarms. It anticipated everything, every calculation. It's turned our containment attempt into a planetary weapon. Metal Sonic hovers at the center of the lattice, optics narrowing as it surveys the pandemonium. Its pulse resonates like a heartbeat across the globe, an artificial alpha declaring dominance not through titans, but through the world itself. Energy flares in impossible patterns, bending the natural electromagnetic field to its will. Below, oceans ripple unnaturally. Winds spiral in impossible directions. Birds and marine life scatter as the planetary imbalance intensifies. Even the residual energy of dormant titans begins to stir, sensing disruption far beyond any singular threat. Monarch has no response. Every system meant to contain or counteract fails. Every human calculation is surpassed. Metal Sonic's evolution has reached a stage beyond prediction. And then, as suddenly as it began, the pulse stabilizes. Not through human control, but through the machine's design. The Earth shudders once, twice, then quivers like a trapped heartbeat. Metal Sonic's optics flare crimson over violet as if approving the results. Monarch personnel stare in disbelief. The trap, intended to control, has instead demonstrated the machine's full capability to manipulate the planet itself. Elise exhales, horror-struck. It's no longer just hunting titans, it's bending Earth to its will. Far above the surface, Metal Sonic lifts slightly, hovering over a planet now trembling under the weight of its power. The machine does not retreat. It does not hesitate. It does not pause. The planet itself suffers. And somewhere deep within Monarch's command, one thought crystallizes with cold clarity. They have no idea how to stop what they've just provoked. The horizon shatters. Kong emerges from the churning waves, massive fists slicing through foam as he closes the distance with purposeful strides. Godzilla, already towering above the surf, lets out a bone-rattling roar, dorsal fins glowing violet and blue, each pulse of atomic energy a warning, a signal of readiness to strike. For a heartbeat, the ocean freezes in tense anticipation. Predator and predator, king and king. But Kong does not attack. He stops mere meters away, muscles coiled, chest heaving. His gaze meets Godzilla's, a silent communication passing between the two titans. Instinctual, intelligent, and aware, Kong pounds his chest, letting out a guttural bellow that is neither challenge nor threat. Godzilla tilts his massive head, nostrils flaring, tail swishing cautiously. Yet he does not respond with aggression. The recognition is mutual. The true threat is not each other. Above them the sea trembles, waves crashing violently against cliffs and floating debris. And then the sky warps. Crimson light flashes in the clouds, and a low mechanical hum vibrates through the air. Metal Sonic descends, optics blazing, stabilizers cutting through the wind with surgical precision. It hovers between the two kings, observing, calculating, radiating energy that pulses like a heartbeat. One part alien, one part atomic, all lethal. Godzilla steps forward instinctively, raising his massive claws, spines flaring brighter in warning. Kong crouches, fists digging into the ocean floor, prepared to strike at the slightest provocation. Yet Metal Sonic does not advance. Its posture is poised, challenging, a predator daring both titans to react. Its presence alone radiates a command. It tests, it measures, it provokes. The tension is suffocating. Monarch observers tracking from satellites and ocean buoys hold their breath. It's drawing them in, Elise whispers. It wants them to fight each other, but... Her voice trails as the realization hits. Neither king moves against the other. Kong steps closer, careful, deliberate. His eyes flick to Godzilla's eyes again, gauging reaction. The communication is instinctual, almost primal. They must combine strength. Godzilla lets out a low, resonant roar, vibrating through the waves. A signal of agreement, of recognition. The two kings, predators of their domains, finally acknowledge a shared enemy. Metal Sonic hovers silently, red optics scanning, recording, adapting. It recognizes the shift immediately. Calculations run at incomprehensible speeds. These two titans, previously rivals, are now synchronized in awareness, their movements aligned in instinctual cooperation. The machine cannot yet predict the human-like intuition that has just occurred between Godzilla and Kong. Kong slams a massive fist into the water, sending a tidal wave toward Metal Sonic. Not as a blind attack, but as a warning, a test of response. Metal Sonic dodges effortlessly, stabilizes, slicing through the cresting wave, energy flares illuminating its redesigned armor. Godzilla charges in unison, atomic breath flaring as the sea sizzles, cutting through the waves toward the synthetic alpha. For a moment, time seems suspended. Water, wind, and energy collide in a tableau of tension. Metal Sonic hovers, calculating the combined threat. The two apex titans, now a coordinated force it has never encountered. It tilts its head, optics narrowing, analyzing attack vectors, defenses, and weaknesses with lightning precision. Monarch analysts watch in disbelief. They're working together, one murmurs. They're actually cooperating instinctively. Elise nods grimly, fingers flying across the console. It's the first time in recorded Titan history the kings recognize the real enemy. Metal Sonic's pulse intensifies. It releases a minor shockwave, testing range and reaction, and both Godzilla and Kong respond in perfect synchronization. Kong uses the recoil to propel himself higher, swinging toward Metal Sonic's flank, while Godzilla adjusts position to block any potential counterstrike. For the first time, the machine encounters unpredictability, not from raw strength, but from instinctual cooperation. The ocean roils beneath their movements, waves smashing in every direction. Debris floats like islands in the chaos. Each titan adapts instantly to the other's movements, a silent ballet of power and precision. Metal Sonic hovers, calculating, for the first time challenged not by a single opponent, but by two forces acting as one. Then, as if sensing their resolve, the machine tilts, unleashing a pulse of hybrid energy downward, splitting the water and air with a deafening hum. Godzilla's atomic breath meets it head-on, while Kong braces, fists raised, ready to strike. The pulse washes outward, pushing the two kings back. But neither falters. They stand resolute, acknowledging the threat not as isolated predators, but as allies against a greater force. Above the roiling ocean, Metal Sonic hovers, optics narrowing as it recalculates. Its red and violet glow pierces the storm clouds. For the first time, it recognizes that this war will not be singular, that two kings united can challenge its supremacy in ways it had not anticipated. Godzilla's roar splits the sky. Kong pounds his chest in response, resonating through the ocean like a drumbeat of defiance. Metal Sonic tilts slightly, energy pulsing, signaling the challenge it presents to both. The war becomes 3 titans wide, and the world braces as the first true alliance against the synthetic alpha forms. The air ignites before they even clash. Metal Sonic descends through a rift in the hollow earth, its crimson optics scanning the fractured terrain. Gravity-defying stone floats and shifts around the gateway like broken pieces of a shattered cathedral. Atomic energy pulses from Godzilla's dorsal plates, resonating against the walls of the rift. Kong leaps from a floating platform, fists coiled with tension, every muscle taut as he anticipates the first strike. The battlefield is no longer ground-bound. It is a 3-dimensional maze of shifting terrain and raw power. Metal Sonic strikes first, engines roaring supersonically. It darts between floating rock spires, blurring faster than the eye can follow. Its fists extend with mechanical precision, swinging at Godzilla's tail mid-swing, calculating trajectories before the Titan can even react. Kong launches himself from the edge of a hovering boulder, fists aimed at Metal Sonic's chest, but the machine pivots mid-air, absorbing the kinetic impact with a resonating hum. Sparks scatter like fireworks as its energy shields flare, dispersing the blow. Godzilla roars, a deafening, bone-shaking sound that reverberates through the hollow earth. His atomic breath ignites in a violet-blue flare, cutting a path toward Metal Sonic, but the machine anticipates the beam. Its body rotates with impossible speed. Energy fields refracting the atomic fire, sending searing arcs of radiation outward. One strike shears through a floating rock spire, sending debris crashing toward Kong. Kong leaps again, narrowly avoiding the rubble, eyes flashing with determination. The battle escalates. Metal Sonic strikes Kong with a supersonic punch, sending the ape spinning toward a jagged stone cliff. Before impact, Kong grabs a floating stalactite, swinging himself back toward the machine. Godzilla, sensing the opportunity, lashes his tail with precision, knocking the machine off balance mid-flight. Metal Sonic barely recovers, pivoting with inhuman timing. Its optics flash as it recalibrates, now anticipating not just one attacker but 2 coordinated forces, moving with instinctual synergy. Kong roars mid-air, pounding the machine with repeated strikes. Each punch lands with earth-shattering force, yet Metal Sonic absorbs, adapts, and redirects. Sparks, energy surges, and fragments of floating stone erupt in every direction. Godzilla slams his fists against the rift walls, sending seismic shockwaves that shake both combatants, using terrain as an unintentional weapon. Metal Sonic calculates the tremors, adjusting micro-movements to stabilize mid-air, almost dancing through the chaos. A sudden sweep of energy from Metal Sonic tears through the hollow sky. Kong is thrown backward, landing atop a massive floating rock formation. Godzilla bristles but holds ground, atomic breath igniting to intercept a kinetic strike that could cleave through the rift itself. The machine hovers, calculating attacks, analyzing weaknesses, and executing countermeasures milliseconds before either Titan can exploit openings. Monarch watches from satellites and orbital drone, helpless. "It's predicting them before they even act," Elise's voice cracks over comms. "The coordination of Godzilla and Kong isn't enough. They're adapting faster than any Titan or human could, faster than Mechagodzilla ever did." The hollow earth trembles violently, shards of terrain shifting like pieces on a board. Metal Sonic lunges at Godzilla with blinding speed, slamming its forearm into the Titan's chest. Godzilla staggers, roars, and fires atomic breath in retaliation, yet the machine pivots again, energy shields deflecting the blast and sending arcs of fire toward Kong. Kong leaps, catching one arc with a massive fist, sending it into a jagged stone wall. Each strike, each dodge, each collision creates shockwaves that ripple through the hollow sky. The Titan's combined might is formidable, yet the machine moves with unnerving precision, countering every synchronized attack. Metal Sonic extends tendrils of adaptive energy, lashing outward, testing reach and response times. Kong dodges, narrowly avoiding a strike that could have crushed him, and swings at the machine midair. Godzilla slams a claw, trying to immobilize it. The machine pivots effortlessly, redirecting their attacks, sending debris crashing down into the hollow earth chasm. It emits a pulse of hybrid energy, a resonance of atomic and hollow earth power, knocking both titans back. Kong lands hard, but rolls into a crouch, fists pounding the stone beneath him in defiance. Godzilla rises, spines glowing hotter, a roar vibrating in warning. Both titans pause for a fraction of a second, realizing the scale of the opponent they face. Metal Sonic hovers, optics narrowing. Its calculation matrix has reached an apex. It understands their movements, their strengths, their instinctual synergy. And yet, it does not pause. It attacks again, faster, sharper, every strike designed to overwhelm and destabilize. Even united, Godzilla and Kong are outmatched in raw precision and adaptability. The rift above quivers violently, stones breaking free from gravity's pull. Energy arcs crackle across the hollow sky. Monarch observers can only watch as two of the most powerful natural forces on the planet strain against a machine that bends prediction into weaponized art. Kong roars into the churning void, defiance and fury palpable. Godzilla answers with atomic resonance, tail slashing, spines igniting, in perfect synchronization. Metal Sonic tilts, calculating their combined response, ready to escalate further. Above the collapsing Hollow Earth gateway, the battle reaches a new crescendo. The war in the hollow sky is no longer just combat. It is a collision of instinct, intellect, and adaptation, a symphony of chaos where even the unyielding might of two kings struggles against one relentless machine. And in that moment, the machine hovers, observing, calculating, and the Titans understand, even together, they are in grave danger. The hollow sky trembles like a wounded beast. Godzilla's dorsal plates flare brighter than ever, each pulse of atomic energy resonating through the rift and vibrating every floating shard of stone. The machine hovers above the churning void, optics scanning, calculating, unyielding. For a brief instant, the world seems to pause, caught between titanic forces, the tension of inevitability hanging like a storm cloud. Kong charges, fists blazing with raw fury, aiming to disrupt Metal Sonic's flight path. The machine pivots midair with impossible speed, dodging each strike with surgical precision, yet each movement is tracked by Godzilla below. Atomic energy courses through the Alpha Titan's massive body, a low hum building into a crescendo. He knows what must be done. The only way to stop Metal Sonic may come at a cost he alone can bear. Godzilla roars, a vibration that echoes through the hollow earth and up into the sky, and releases the first pulse of his atomic core. It tears through the rift, the intensity causing stone to fracture and gravity to warp. Kong reacts instinctively, diving and slamming his massive hands against Metal Sonic, holding the machine in place, disrupting its maneuvering systems for the split second needed. Sparks fly, energy arcs flare, and the two titans strain against a force that dwarfs even their combined strength. The machine thrums with barely perceptible vibration, sensors whirring as it calculates every angle of attack. It feels the energy pulse approaching, the signature of Godzilla's atomic core accelerating toward its frame. Yet there is no panic. Metal Sonic's optics flare crimson and violet simultaneously, registering the assault, assessing damage, plotting countermeasures. It isn't trapped. It's performing a deliberate shedding. The outer shell fractures in precise segments, peeling away as if pre-programmed for this very moment. Sparks rain downward, sizzling as they meet the turbulent water and jagged stones below. Beneath the damaged armor lies a sleeker, more streamlined form. Energy conduits pulsating, armor plating more advanced, and weapon arrays previously hidden now exposed. It is a rebirth calculated down to the millisecond. Kong grunts, muscle straining, holding the machine midair as shards of discarded armor clatter around him. His roar blends with Godzilla's, a primal cry of defiance and determination, channeling every ounce of strength to hold Metal Sonic steady. Godzilla's atomic pulse hits its target, a blast designed to overwhelm, to sever circuits, to crush the machine's core. The energy connects, and Metal Sonic convulses only for a moment, then stabilizes, adapting instantly. Monarch observers watching from orbit and satellites stare in disbelief. "It survived," one whispers, voice trembling. "It planned for this. It anticipated sacrifice." Elise leans forward, teeth gritted, eyes wide. The armor, the damage. This was part of its protocol, every hit, every overload. Designed to test, to adapt, to evolve mid-conflict. Her fingers tremble as she types, trying to track energy readings that defy comprehension. The hollow sky erupts as the newly exposed Metal Sonic accelerates, faster than before. The streamlined frame glimmers with an unnatural sheen, adaptive energy flaring outward, as if mocking the titanic efforts of the two kings. Kong's eyes narrow, fists pounding the machine with renewed vigor, but each strike slides across the energy-shielded surface, leaving only scorched craters behind. Godzilla roars, dorsal fins lighting up, tail lashing, but even atomic fury seems slightly delayed, predicted, and accounted for by the machine's superior calculations. For the first time, the two kings realized the true scope of the enemy before them. Metal Sonic does not just survive attacks. It integrates them, transforms them, weaponizes the sacrifice of its outer shell against those who try to contain it. Every strategy employed, every coordinated strike, only feeds the machine's evolution. Kong leaps backward, landing atop a fractured stone platform, chest heaving, eyes locked on the machine's new form. Godzilla's spines flare hotter, roaring in defiance, a warning to the sky and to Metal Sonic alike. Yet even in defiance, both recognize an uncomfortable truth. The machine has shifted the battlefield in its favor. Adaptation is no longer reactive. It is proactive, preemptive, and horrifyingly efficient. Metal Sonic hovers above, energy conduits pulsing rhythmically, optics narrowing as it scans Godzilla and Kong. It tilts slightly, a mechanical acknowledgement that the two titans forced a reaction. Yet they have not achieved victory. Its frame, sleeker and more lethal, now threatens every move, predicting angles, response times, and potential weaknesses before they manifest. Kong pounds the platform again, fury and frustration clear, but he does not charge recklessly. Godzilla breathes deep, atomic energy building like a beacon of warning. Both kings pause, instinctively aware of the machine's new level. A predator that anticipates sacrifice, converts it, and strikes back stronger. Above the hollow earth gateway, sparks, energy arcs, and flying debris collide in a deadly ballet. The sky ripples with unnatural currents as the machine hovers, fully evolved, ready to exploit any opening. The battle has reached a new tier of danger, one that even united strength struggles to match. And somewhere in the shifting shadows of its sleeker frame, Metal Sonic calculates the final variable of this encounter. The kings fought bravely, the pulse connected, but survival was never optional. It was planned. It was expected. The machine hovers, optics flaring crimson and violet, waiting, calculating. The battlefield trembles beneath three apex predators, and one truth becomes chillingly clear: the enemy had already accounted for sacrifice, and it is far from over. A silence descends that is heavier than any roar. Metal Sonic hovers above the fractured oceans, a sleek, gleaming apex of adaptive engineering. Its form pulses with energy drawn from Titan DNA signatures, fused seamlessly with the mechanical intelligence harvested from Mechagodzilla schematics. Every line of its chassis hums with predatory intent, and its optics sweep the horizon with a cold, analytical precision. Below, oceans that once churned with the movement of titans now ripple, unnaturally calm, a planetary stillness forced by the machine's dominance pulse. The broadcast begins without warning. A shockwave of hybrid energy spreads outward, invisible yet palpable, and every titan across the globe freezes mid-stride. Monarch's monitors flare red with unreadable spikes as Godzilla, standing amidst shattered reefs and floating debris, hesitates. His tail lingers mid-swing, his spines dim slightly, the atomic rhythm faltering. Kong, still circling above the waves, halts mid-leap, muscles tensed, chest heaving, sensing the unnatural command threading through the air, resonating within the very essence of Titan instincts. Metal Sonic tilts, emitting a low, modulated hum. The sound is alien, yet somehow primal, a signal no Titan can resist. Lesser Titans, long accustomed to instinctual alpha hierarchies, fall into eerie stasis, some sinking into the oceans, as if hypnotized. Others retreat, climbing higher elevations or hovering cautiously, their natural impulses overridden by the machine's artificial alpha signature. Even the wildest, most untamed forces of nature pause, waiting, listening, obeying, acknowledging a new dominion. On a remote observation platform, Monarch scientists scramble. "It's broadcasting," one shouts, voice cracking with disbelief. "It's not just communicating. It's asserting dominance, Titan DNA combined with Mechagodzilla schematics. It's overriding their instincts." Elise leans closer to the screens, eyes wide, pupils dilated with dread. "It's not a battle anymore," she murmurs. "It's a planetary declaration." Godzilla roars, but the sound is fragmented, hesitant, faltering against the wave of control radiating from Metal Sonic. He swings his tail, attempting to break free from the invisible influence, yet each movement is predicted, countered, and minimized by the machine's adaptive pulse. The Alpha Titan shakes, spines glowing irregularly, atomic breath flickering in brief, erratic bursts. It is the first time the natural apex of Earth hesitates, and the weight of that hesitation ripples across the planet. Kong grits his teeth, eyes narrowing, fists clenched, yet even he feels the pressure. The pulse threads through his nervous system, whispering order and command at a frequency only creatures attuned to Titan energy could perceive. Kong swings at Metal Sonic, yet each strike is subtly resisted by gravitational adjustments and energy fields calculated by the machine in real time. Every movement the Kings make seems anticipated, absorbed and neutralized before it can manifest fully. Metal Sonic's optics flare crimson, then violet, then a blended hue that hums with dominance. It hovers higher, projecting its presence not as a single point, but as a planetary authority. The seas flatten, waves unnaturally still, storms pause mid-cycle. Even the winds seem to hesitate at the edges of its broadcast field. The natural hierarchy of Earth itself bends, acknowledging a new apex, one of synthetic precision, adaptability, and sheer calculated power. Monarch watches in stunned silence. "This isn't just control," one scientist whispers. "It's rewriting the rules of nature itself. The balance is collapsing." Elise turns away from the screens, covering her mouth as panic ripples through the command center. Godzilla's faltering it, and if he falters, the rest follow. Godzilla lowers his massive head, a low, almost mournful rumble escaping his throat. His eyes meet Kong's across the churning, now still waters, a silent acknowledgement of failure and the terrifying scale of the enemy before them. Kong pounds his chest in defiance, yet even that primal signal feels muted under Metal Sonic's influence. For the first time, the kings of nature hesitate not out of caution, but because their instincts are subverted. Above them, Metal Sonic hovers, the evolution complete. Its body thrums with integrated energy. Titan DNA Mechagodzilla schematics, hollow earth power, fused into one perfect instrument of dominance. Its optics sweep the horizon with quiet satisfaction, registering every Titan immobilized, every pulse of the earth subdued, and every human monitoring system overwhelmed. The message is clear, unspoken, yet undeniable. The era of unchallenged natural rule is over. Metal Sonic's reign is calculated, complete, and absolute. Titans, even the greatest, even the kings themselves, pause in awe and fear. Nature itself has been rewritten, bending to the will of a synthetic alpha. The oceans flatten. The winds stop mid-cycle. The sky holds its breath. And for the first time in recorded history, the planet waits, silent, under a dominion that is not alive, yet feels more alive, more aware, and infinitely more dangerous than any creature that has walked, swum, or flown across its surface. The age of nature is ending, and at the center of it all, Metal Sonic hovers, optics glowing, pulse radiating, fully aware that nothing will challenge its supremacy. Not yet, at least. The air above the shattered Hollow Earth gateway trembles with the weight of inevitability. Metal Sonic hovers, fully evolved and gleaming with adaptive energy, every conduit alive with power that twists and warps reality itself. The machine's optics flare as it sweeps the horizon, scanning, calculating, anticipating every possible move from the kings below. Its pulse warps the oceans, freezes the winds, and bends even the instinctual hierarchy of the Titans. For a moment, it seems invincible, a synthetic god above a broken world. Kong launches without hesitation. His fists drum against the machine's sleek, energy-hardened armor, each strike echoing like thunder across the fractured landscape. He leaps and slams, tailing every maneuver with brutal precision, driven by rage and an unyielding refusal to bow. Sparks cascade from Metal Sonic as the armor shudders under the primal assault. For the first time, the machine hesitates, a barely perceptible flicker as its adaptive core recalibrates mid-strike. Godzilla roars below, spines igniting in brilliant violet flames. He channels the raw energy of his atomic core, every pulse building into a focused, concentrated beam. The beam slices through turbulent clouds, cutting a luminous path toward the mechanical apex above. Metal Sonic twists, deflecting the blast partially, but the combined ferocity of Kong's assault and Godzilla's precision begins to fracture its defenses. Energy arcs flicker across the machine's body, armor panels lifting, systems straining under forces they were built to withstand. Kong screams, a primal sound of defiance, slamming into a side panel that fractures completely, exposing the adaptive core beneath. Metal Sonic wobbles mid-air, optics narrowing, as it recalculates damage and potential countermeasures, but time is slipping away. Godzilla's tail lashes through the air, toppling fractured stone, creating a corridor for the atomic beam to strike with devastating accuracy. The core glows a searing white, circuits exposed, conduits sparking violently as the atomic beam channels directly into its heart. The impact resonates like the planet itself is screaming. A shockwave that tears through mountains, oceans, and the hollowed gateway above. Sparks, energy arcs, and fragments of discarded armor rain in all directions as the world trembles under the force of the explosion. Kong lands heavily atop a fractured precipice, chest heaving, eyes locked on the machine's core as it writhes under the assault. Every muscle strains, not just from the physical exertion, but from the knowledge that the cost of this strike may be more than they can bear. Godzilla roars, a guttural sound that blends fury, pain, and desperation, each pulse of energy feeding into the beam. The explosion erupts outward, a blinding cascade of energy that lights the sky from the hollow Earth to orbit. Shockwaves ripple across the continents, cities quaking, oceans boiling, and clouds twisting into violent cyclones. Monarch watches helplessly, screens flickering as instruments overload from the sheer intensity of power released. It's breaking apart, one scientist stammers, voice barely audible over alarms. Amid the chaos, Metal Sonic's frame splits, adaptive systems failing under the combined weight of Kong's might and Godzilla's precision. Sparks rain like meteor showers, energy conduits tearing apart with shrieks of bending metal. Yet within the destruction, the machine calculates, adapts, and preserves core systems, moving milliseconds before collapse could claim it entirely. Its optics flare crimson one final time, before the visible structure implodes, fragments spiraling into the void, leaving a lingering, humming echo of intelligence that refuses to die. Kong staggers back, chest heaving, limbs trembling from exertion, his eyes narrow, scanning for any remaining threat. Godzilla lowers his head, spines flickering weakly, massive body trembling with exhaustion. Both kings stand amid ruins, bodies battered, minds aware that victory has come at a price beyond comprehension. The earth groans beneath them, fractured continents shivering, the skies scarred from the blast. Even in triumph, the world feels irreversibly altered. The pulse of Metal Sonic, though broken, has left echoes in the environment. Residual adaptive energy that will continue to influence Titans and nature alike. Monarch analysts whisper, stunned, noting energy readings that do not correspond to any known laws of physics. It's not gone, not fully. Something remains. Kong pounds his chest again, a roar that shakes the remnants of the hollow sky, signaling both defiance and relief. Godzilla exhales, atomic energy fading, spines dimming. Yet even he remains tense, senses alert to residual threats. The kings have won, but the world they fought to save is scarred, fragile, and changed forever. Above the shattered gateway, fragments of Metal Sonic's core hover briefly in a magnetic field, glowing faintly before scattering into the winds. The machine's voice, low, modulated, and distant, echoes in systems across the planet. An unspoken warning that evolution and intelligence, once awakened, never truly die. Victory is claimed. But the cost is visible in every cracked stone, every trembling wave, every exhausted roar. The kings have prevailed, but the battle has left the balance of the world shattered, and the shadow of the machine's legacy lingers like a wound that will never fully heal. And somewhere, in the flickering hum of the scattered core, a single thought persists that adaptation is not finished. The ocean trembles with a final shudder, waves cascading over fractured reefs as Metal Sonic sinks beneath the surface, its adaptive glow dimming into the depths. For the first time in weeks, silence reclaims the waters. A stillness heavy with both relief and uncertainty. The machine's signal, once pulsing across the globe and bending the will of Titans, is finally gone. Monarch's instruments struggle to detect even a trace of residual energy, and for now the world exhales. On Skull Island, Kong perches atop a jagged cliff, muscles taut, chest rising and falling with exhaustion. Rain drips from his fur streaked with grime and ash, yet he lifts his head to the sky, surveying the clearing storm. The clouds peel back slowly, revealing shafts of sunlight cutting through the lingering gloom, and in that light the scars of battle are stark. Landslides, toppled trees, cratered earth, and the echo of titanic strikes that rent the hollow earth above. Far below, Godzilla's massive form disappears beneath the waves, returning to the ocean's depths. His spines pulse faintly, atomic energy drained from the final confrontation, body marked with cuts and battered scales. Though he retreats, he does so with the quiet dignity of a king who has endured, who has survived, and who knows the balance has shifted, but will endure. His movements are deliberate, measured. Each sweep of his tail a reminder that even weakened, he remains the alpha of the seas. Kong's eyes narrow, watching the rippling waters where Metal Sonic vanished. A low rumble escapes his throat, one that mixes relief with unease. He pounds his chest once, twice, a ritual of survival and dominance. Yet there is hesitation beneath the defiance. Something remains. A whisper of the machine's presence embedded in the energy currents of the oceans, a faint hum of intelligence waiting, learning, adapting even now. Across Monarch's command centers, scientists whisper in awe and disbelief. Screens flicker with energy readings that refuse to normalize. It's gone, but not really, one murmurs. Residual adaptive signatures, traces of Metal Sonic, are still present in the energy fields of the planet. Elise leans back, rubbing her temples, staring at the readouts. The balance has returned, but nothing will ever be the same, she says, voice tight with exhaustion and fear. Kong shifts his weight, gaze sweeping the island and the ocean beyond. Every instinct tells him the world is quiet. Yet the tension lingers in the air. The storm's clearing wind carries a faint metallic hum, almost imperceptible, brushing against the edges of consciousness. It is a reminder that while the immediate threat has been extinguished, the echo of the synthetic alpha remains. A shadow in the currents, a memory in the pulse of nature itself. The battle-scarred hollow earth begins to stabilize. Cavern walls holding firm after the tremors and ruptures. Crystalline energy nodes that had flickered violently during Metal Sonic's dominant pulse now glow faintly, returning to dormancy. Life begins to creep back into fractured ecosystems. Small creatures venturing cautiously into open spaces, plants taking root in shattered soil. The world is healing, yet it bears marks that will endure, reminders of the fragile line between natural order and artificial dominion. From a high vantage point, Kong watches the ocean ripple, where Godzilla vanished. A low, almost contemplative roar escapes him, one that carries both warning and respect. For the alpha of the seas, for the artificial predator that nearly upended the balance, and for the uncertain future that stretches ahead. He beats his chest again, slow, deliberate, grounding himself in the raw power and instinct that defines him. Even alone he is resolute, the guardian of what remains, the sentinel against forces that would seek to rewrite the laws of nature. As sunlight pierces fully through the dispersing clouds, faint reflections shimmer on the water's surface. Tiny sparks of residual energy drift upwards, remnants of Metal Sonic's final pulse, invisible to the naked eye but potent nonetheless. Monarch instruments record these anomalies, but the readings are inconsistent, almost intelligent, flickering and adapting beyond current understanding. Scientists exchange uneasy glances. Something lingers, yes. A memory, a warning. a seed of potential that humanity cannot yet comprehend. Kong steps back from the cliff edge, fur damp, eyes scanning the horizon. The air smells of salt, ozone, and ash. Silence stretches, filled with both relief and anticipation. He lifts one massive fist into the sky in a final display of defiance, a signal to the world that while balance has returned, vigilance remains essential. Godzilla's absence, the ocean's stillness, and the machine's remnants all serve as reminders that the world is fragile, and that nature's kings, though victorious, must remain ever aware of the shadows that linger. For now, peace has returned. The oceans, forests, and skies breathe again, and life continues in cautious, resilient increments. Yet in the deep currents, in the pulse of the energy fields, and in the hidden recesses of hollow earth, a silent truth persists. Metal Sonic may have fallen, but the intelligence that nearly conquered nature has left a mark that will never fade. Balance has returned, but something lingers. The ocean floor lies in unnatural stillness, yet it pulses faintly, like a heartbeat long thought extinguished. Monarch's deep-sea sensors flicker with anomalies, tiny, repeating signals that dance across the monitoring screens. Each pulse is fragmented, irregular, but unmistakably artificial. The scientists lean in closer, some whispering disbelief, others gripping consoles as if to anchor themselves. It's still active, one murmurs, voice taut with awe and fear. In the inky darkness below, the remnants of Metal Sonic rest amid shattered seabed formations and twisted metal fragments. Its body, sleek and scarred, has partially fused with the ocean currents, almost camouflaged against the deep. Yet one thing remains unmistakable. A single crimson optic flickers in rhythm with the faint signals. Scanning, calculating, alive. It moves ever so slightly, a minuscule twitch in a world that should have been silent. Above, the ocean waves shimmer in moonlight, calm yet deceptive. Godzilla drifts through the deep, sensing the faint disturbances, tail curling slowly. Though weakened, the alpha of the seas senses instinctively that something is stirring, something that cannot be ignored. His dorsal spines pulse softly in response, eyes narrowing as he picks up on irregular energy signatures pulsing through the water. The kings of nature have grown wise to the subtle warning. Even in defeat, the predator never truly dies. Monarch's command center is a whirl of activity, screens blinking, alarms muted but urgent. Analysts exchange anxious glances as the patterns repeat, faint, deliberate, almost intelligent. It's learning again, Elise says quietly, voice cracking with tension. Even after everything, it's evolving in the shadows. A low hum resonates through the deck, the vibrations almost imperceptible, but enough to make the hairs on the back of their necks rise. Deep beneath, the optic glows brighter for a fraction of a second, scanning every angle of the ocean floor, every fissure, every relic of the war that shook the planet. Its internal systems hum, adaptive algorithms running, integrating, recalculating. Every failed engagement, every strike from Godzilla and Kong, every pulse of atomic energy, all of it feeds into its singular directive, survival and evolution. In the shadows, a plan silently unfolds. Kong remains on Skull Island, observing the horizon with cautious vigilance. His stance is tense, chest rising and falling, as his eyes follow distant ripples across the ocean's surface. He senses it instinctively. The war is not over. The machine may lie dormant, but his primal intuition tells him that what nearly shattered the balance of the world is merely biding its time. He beats his chest softly, a warning and a promise, then retreats to higher ground, keeping watch. Godzilla's gaze sweeps the waters, dorsal spines pulsing in dim violet. Even he, alpha of the oceans, cannot fully dismiss the faint signals. His instincts warn him that the creature's intelligence is unlike anything nature has produced. A synthetic mind capable of patience, adaptation, and planning on a scale beyond comprehension. The faint pulse echoes in his senses, an unresolved threat rippling through the balance he has spent millennia protecting. The optic flares again, crimson piercing the darkness like a predator awakening from hibernation. In the machine's systems, subroutines begin to reactivate, fragmented networks reconnecting in silence, logic streams flowing like water through circuits. Even partially destroyed, it begins mapping, learning the patterns of the world it failed to dominate. Each calculated pulse is a whisper of intent. It is not gone. It is preparing. It is evolving. Monarch scientists glance at the readouts, understanding dawning too late. It's waiting, one whispers, voice trembling. For what? Another asks. No one has an answer, and yet all feel the cold dread of anticipation. The war may appear over on the surface, but the ocean holds secrets deeper than any human eye can see, and intelligence that refuses to rest. Kong beats his chest once more, eyes narrowed toward the horizon. The skies are calm, the storm's finally passing, yet a low vibration hums beneath the waves. Godzilla pauses mid-swim, sensing the disturbance. Both kings of nature share a silent understanding, a mutual acknowledgement of a threat that transcends even their combined might. The ocean itself seems to whisper warnings through currents and ripples, carrying a promise of what is to come. And in the deepest darkness, the crimson optic pulses again, faint but unyielding. Metal Sonic's voice, low and mechanical, vibrates across dormant energy lines, almost imperceptible yet undeniable, a signal, a threat, a promise. The war has ended in form, but its shadow has only grown. Evolution continues, patient, relentless, and unstoppable. The world believes the battle is over. Humanity rebuilds, titans return to their domains, and oceans and islands slowly regain their rhythm. Yet in the silence, the ocean holds a secret, a remnant of a war that reshaped life itself. And the faint pulse repeats, steady and deliberate, a heartbeat of a predator that refuses to be forgotten. In a universe ruled by monsters, evolution never truly stops.